All right, friends, welcome back. This is our next series video in the Gospel of Matthew Bible study. Today we're going to be looking at chapter 2 of the Gospel of Matthew. I encourage you, if you are new to us, you haven't looked at the previous chapter's videos, go ahead and click the thumbnail up on your screen right now, go back to the first chapter, and then come back to chapter 2. Start with us with chapter 1 in the back of your mind. If you have already done chapter 1, then I encourage you to go ahead and pause this video, take a moment, read chapter 2 on your own, completely fresh, no thoughts from me or any cultural context. That is the first step of this particular Bible study method. So go ahead and pause the video, do that, and then come right back, and we'll go ahead and discuss observations for chapter 2. All right, so this chapter has been interesting. There's a lot of different types of observations that I have. I'm sure that you had. In chapter 1, we left off with Joseph and Mary, now in the place where not only is Mary with child, apart from being with anybody through the Holy Spirit, but Joseph also knows, because God said in a dream, hey, this is my child. Mary has not been unfaithful to you. When you have the child, it's going to be a son, and you should name it Jesus. That's where we left off with chapter 1. Now we are picking up, and it's the very first verse says, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea. So this is after Jesus' birth, and we're seeing what happens next. The observations that I had, though this story in general is interesting and different, had more to do with the different types of communication that I see going on throughout this chapter. For example, you have these magi who somehow know about the birth of Jesus, the promised Messiah. They come from the east, and it says that they know about it because they saw his star. That's interesting to me. That's kind of weird. Then you have King Herod and the chief priests and teachers of the law. He calls together the Jews and asks them, where was this prophesied Messiah supposed to be born? They look in the scriptures and say, from the Old Testament, the prophet has written, verse 6, basically saying, this is a verse that's telling us where the Messiah's birthplace is supposed to be. So you have this prophet theme throughout this passage, which there's actually a lot of. Then you have the Magi, after they've already found Jesus, they're warned in a dream, it says in verse 12, not to go back to Herod. You have Joseph being warned in a dream to get up and to escape Egypt. There's the prophecy that said that the Messiah would actually be someone who came from Egypt in verse 15. You have the prophecy in verse 17 that it says was fulfilled when Herod said that all the sons 2 years and older should be killed in that area. Joseph being told in a dream that he can finally come back to Israel after Herod has died. Joseph being warned in another dream not to go to Judea, but instead to go to Galilee. And then the final prophecy it mentions being fulfilled is that the Messiah would be a Nazarene. They would come from a place called Nazareth. So that's a major theme I saw in this passage that was very interesting to me and worthy of observation. All these different types of communication, all these different types of foreknowledge from people, and different things from prophets that were supposed to have been fulfilled through these different events. As far as the story itself, the idea of Magi from the east coming and being the ones who are excited about the Messiah being born, where the Jews and this King Herod are disturbed by it. You know, in verse 3, it uses the word disturbed in NIV. In different translations, there's the word agitated, troubled, or frightened. And so these people from the east are excited about it, but the Jews and King Herod are not excited about it. It even says in verse 10 that when the Magi find Jesus, with Mary, it says they are overjoyed and they present these gifts, like royal gifts, gold, frankincense, myrrh. Yet, Herod, he's only concerned about the thought that he's been outwitted, and he's furious about it. So there's this interesting contrast between those two groups of people. I have to wonder what Mary was thinking when the Magi come and bow before her son, who's a young age right now. They said they saw the child, so he's a very young kid at this moment. And they're bowing before him, they're worshiping him, they're presenting him these kingly gifts. What was going on in her mind, I wonder. And then once again, Joseph and Mary showing this really unique faith, like they did in chapter 1, where Joseph keeps getting dreams where the angel of the Lord tells him to do specific things, and he just up and does it. Like he gets up in the middle of the night and leaves when the angel tells him to. He comes back to Israel when the angel tells him to. He doesn't go to Judea when the angel tells him not to go there. There's just this unique and really impressive faith that Joseph and Mary illustrate as parents. I think we've touched on pretty much all of my major observations. What else did you guys see? Let me know in the comments below, and let's go ahead and get into the next video talking about interpretation.